Welcome to Opinion Havers, a movie podcast for tops and bottoms. I'm Cody.
And I'm Tyler.
Tyler, what did we watch?
We watched What's Up, Doc?
First time?
Is my first time? Yes.
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
Oh, so special, so tender, so sweet.
Yes.
Tyler, do you want to give us a little summary, a little rundown of what it is?
Yes. It's a movie. And there's a lot of moving parts going on in the movie, right? And
Regret. So much regret from me. You watched it today, right?
Yes, and it's not that I don't remember it. It's this that like there's so much going on. There's bags. So the whole thing is there's lots of people. They all have the same bag. They're all having their own adventures, and Barbara Streisand comes in as an agent of chaos, and somehow brings them all together. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like that's what the movie is. Really, they all have the same bag. And Barbara Streisand is there. And then at the end,
perfect.
They all have their bag, and Barbara Streisand is still there.
Oh yeah, she's in the mix. She's mixing it up.
Yeah,
delightful. Tyler, how'd it go? What are give me your first impression.
First impression, it was delightful. Like I texted you before the movie was over. I had already recommended it to people. Like I had texted people.
So happy.
And been like, have you seen this movie? And they're like, no. And they're like, is it a Bugs Bunny cartoon? And I was like, nope. You should watch it. It's on this streaming service. Watch it. And they're like, thank you.
It's a great one. And it's one, I love this movie. It's one of my favorite comedies. Someone recommended it to me, college. And I've passed it on to a few folks because it's just delightful. It's so good. I'm surprised it's not one I've heard. When you think of like classic comedies, I think of like anything. What's his name did? Young Frankenstein guy, Mel Brooks. I think of like Mel Brooks, and I think of like Duck Soup and the Marx Brothers, and like Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin. I think of those, and I think a little bit of what's the Stanley Kubrick one about the war. The bomb.
Oh, the one with the long
Doctor
name?
Strangelove.
Dr. Strangelove.
Those are like the old comedies I think of. Yeah. This one's never in the mix. And for me, now that I've seen it, it's in the mix. What's Up, Doc? Classic comedy. Everyone should watch. It's older, so it's not like one of the R-rated comedies of today. Because I feel like a lot of comedies today, it's like, hey, it's R-rated, so it's like more for adults, or like, those raunchy teenagers, the youths. It's just a good one. You could watch this movie with your parents, and it would be delightful still. That's what I like about it.
I did recommend it to my parents because I tell you, my dad, this movie might kill my dad. He might die of a heart attack, all right? Because, I was wheeze laughing at some of the moments.
What a way to go,
When it was just, losing it, and I'm like, this man, my dad is not going to be able to contain himself if he watches this movie, all right? It is, there's just the insanity of somebody says something and then Barbara Streisand responds with an insane comment, and then they're like, what do you mean? And then she responds with a totally reasonable comment, and it's and then someone else says something, and then someone else interrupts to say something else, and then it just spirals out of control. And then there's the one scene where someone's pretending to be somebody, and then there's somebody just this is later on, after you assume an hour, it's just cuts to them, and it's just they're not who they say they are, and everybody's just yeah, whatever. It's just he's just I don't know how else to say this. I don't know how to make you guys understand, and you don't. And they're like, haha, you're funny. Moving on. And it's
man. It's classic. It's a great one. I would recommend it to almost anyone. Who didn't like it? My dear wife. And we'll get into look, that's that's when we get in the nitty gritty details. But let me tell you, it broke my heart a little bit, you know. And look, I've got a lot to say about it. I'll explain it to you. I'll explain what happened. We have very different tastes. You know, I feel like when I was a child, I was like, you know, when I find my companion, my partner, will be on the same wavelength, we'll like all the same stuff. And that is not the case, you know. And there's overlap. There's things we both like, but we like very different movies. You know, like I said, there's overlap. There's things we both like, but some of like the movies I love the most are when she's like, I didn't get that. I didn't get why that was good. I think that was almost fine, like average at best. And I'm like, it hurts me. It hurts me so. I'll tell you more about it.
Well, here's
this movie is great.
Here's what boggles my brain when you say this, Cody. All right,
tell me.
Is that this is like prime time period, and like it seems like prime Bailey. All right, and so you would think this would be the kind of movie that like our wives would love, that we'd be like, it's fine, or okay, that was better than I expected, right? But instead, your wife didn't like it, and mine definitely didn't like it as much as I did. She did like it, but there were lots of scenes where I was losing it, that she would chuckle at how hard I was laughing, not at the jokes in the movie. Like, she thought it was funny watching me enjoy the movie so much. So she supports and loves me. Your wife doesn't, apparently. So that's all I'm saying. And it just boggles my brain that this is prime them. This is a rom-com from the 70s.
Yeah, right.
And they're like,
I think it's too heavy on the comedy, but like Bailey likes comedies, but her comedies, like her favorite comedies are like bad comedies from the early 2000s. Like ones that I've seen and like enjoyed, where it's just like, this isn't like a good movie, but you know, I enjoyed it when I was like a kid, you know, and as a grown up, I don't think I would sit down and like enjoy it, but I might get a good couple laughs out of me. That's it.
Yeah. Did she like The Phantom?
No, she did not like The Phantom.
See, that also boggles my brain. How did she? I expected her to love it. I mean, I don't like it, but what is her deal, Cody? Look me in the eye and tell me what her deal.
Because that's what I'm saying. Like, she loves Medea. Boo to Medea. Fantastic movie.
This has Medea energy, if I've ever felt it, right?
Yeah. But it's just, I don't know. We're gonna have to get into the details about it. I need to rant at you. I need you to rant at me, and then I can really pry this can open, because I can explain what happened.
All right.
I don't agree with it, but I can explain what happened. For everyone else out there, this is a great movie.
It's so good.
If you're white, I especially recommend it, but I think anyone would enjoy it.
It's very like, it's like Charlie Chaplin, Three Stooges kind of stuff. Like, everyone thinks it's funny. Everyone loves it. It's like, even if you sit there and go, I hate it, you love it, really. Really, in your heart, you love it. It's a good time.
I don't know. It's every comedy I've seen with Bailey where I'm like, hey, this is a hard comedy and I love it. She's like, that was okay. So it's hard. Tyler, can we dive into the details? Can we get in? Can we,
Cody, hop in. All right, hop in this Volkswagen Beetle, and let's just drive on down to San Francisco, aka Spoiler Town, USA, for today. Drive down Lombard Street to Spoiler Town. All right, classic San Francisco. We're in it. We're smashing up stuff on the way, and we're doing it together as a team, you and me. All right.
I'm glad we're here.
Are you going first, or am I going first? That's the question that we ask.
Would you like to go first?
I can. Like, this is one of the few times that I have zero notes. I could go first.
Yeah, I'll let you go first. I saw this 2 weeks ago. Because I got sick, so we haven't recorded. Mm-hmm. So I saw it 2 weeks ago. You saw it 2 hours ago. I'm gonna let you go first.
All right.
And I'm ready. I'm ready when you are.
Okay, here we go. Cody, this movie, when it started, okay, like maybe the first, I want to say first 15 to 30 minutes, but there's no way it was that long, because I would have been more checked out at that point. I was just like, I don't know about this. This seems like an old-timey, like, what a wacky world we live in movie, and I was not about it. I was like, Cody, you failed me. And then it kicked off, all right? Then it started to spiral out of control. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in. Tiffany attempted to keep track of the bags the entire time. I gave up halfway through the movie, and she's like, she focusing her entire being. She took a nap after the movie. She's still asleep because it took all of her energies to keep track of these bags. And she's like, wait, who has what bag? I'm losing track. And I was just like, oh, I gave up. I can't, I'm just letting it take me for the ride. I'm one of the bags. I'm just along for the ride. You know, I'm enjoying my time. This poor man, he's a rock music scientist or whatever. He's in there. He's getting his grant. There's some kind of government secrets being tossed around. There's jewels. Then there's just a regular one, right? There's 4 bags. Is that right? 4 or 5? 4. There's 4 bags. All right. They're all getting tossed around. The fact that Barbra Streisand, which was really funny because I was like, I wonder who this is. I looked it up and it said Barbra Streisand. And I was like, what? Because I've only ever really known old Barbra Streisand. You know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, this is why she was like the biggest star in the world in the 70s and 80s, right? Because of movies like this. This is amazing. This is amazing. She comes in and I was like, that's when I texted you when she starts, like, as I said, being just an agent of chaos in this already chaotic mix of a situation, right? When I texted you, I said, Cody, I'm watching this movie. I feel like I'm seeing into your mind. I feel like this is what formed young Cody's brain, all right, is this film. You said you got it in college. I think you were subjected to it in the womb, all right? And it formed the synapses of your brain, all right? Because it's just such, it's so, like, she why does she do anything she does? All right, that's the question, really. Why does she come into the hotel and say, hey, I'm looking for a friend in this room? That room's empty. It's like, what? Who are you? Why are you here? And then she orders room service to that room and then just goes into the room across the hall. Whereas I was like, because it's like everything I thought, every time I was like, oh, I see what she's doing here. She would do the opposite of what I thought she was doing. Because, you know, classic trick, order room service, show up at the same time. Be like, oh, I left my key in there. Can you let me in? That guy's going to have a key. He can let you in, right? He can go swipe or key, and he can get you into that room, all right? Classic ruse, Cody. What does she do? Goes into the room across the hall with who? The rock scientist, who she's already claimed to be married to and dubbed Steve, right? Who's not it's not his name, but his name is Steve forevermore, apparently. So they're moving on. And it just, their dynamic of him being just this nerdy little quiet guy and her just steamrolling over him at every chance. And then Eunice, Cody. Eunice was a treat, but oh, you don't need to marry Eunice, dude. If you're marrying a Eunice, rethink your life choices. I'm sorry, Eunice. Maybe you should have been named Dorcas, all right? That's all I got to say. You know, like, if you're named Eunice or Dorcas, you probably don't need that girl in your life, if I'm being honest with you, all right? But just, like, trying to keep track of everything and being like, who is this? Who are these documents with? Who are the secrets? Why did he carry the bag? Why did he always have the golf bag? Why did he dump golf clubs out and just leave them in random spots? And why did he keep the bag with him the entire time? All right? Why? That's why I kept asking myself, why does he still have this stupid bag? And then, like, these guys that are planning to rob this lady, and it's like, all right, their storyline was the only one that I was always like, I get what's going on here. I am following theirs 100%. They're 2 idiots that are going to rob this old lady, all right, of her jewels or something. And but it's just like, why do you have the golf bag? Why did this one guy think that his like crony had these skills of seduction? It's like, what do I do if she use your seduction? Say you were smitten with her and make passionate love. Can't I just kill her? It's one of the best lines. You have to make passionate love to her. Oh, can't I just kill her? Just his look. I'm like, what? And then like there's just the chase scene at the end, and they're in the they're in their
Oh,
things.
Tyler.
Oh my gosh.
Tyler, you ranted well. I have to cut you off.
Oh.
Because it's my turn to rant, and I will rant well. Try, let me tell you, is it Fritz or Franz, whatever the guy? He doesn't say you're smitten with her. He says say you're schmitten with her. Loved it. So here's the thing. Now that I'm seeing this movie for a second time, it tickles me in ways that it like shouldn't. Because even in the intro, when it's just a sweaty guy with golf clubs like running up hills in San Francisco, I'm giggling the whole. Just the fact that he's sweaty made me laugh. Like you said, he's random. Like it's so heavy. Just like, you know what? He just like, starts dumping golf clubs. It just makes my heart happy. And like you said, it's a tiny bit slow. Now that watching it a second time, this movie is fully like won me over. But for me, as soon as like Barbara Streisand has engaged with what's his Steven or whatever his actual name is, this movie is just, it's a train running. The train's going and you can't get off of it. And makes me so happy, She orders the room service to get the room service, goes in the other room, goes back for a sandwich. The other guy's already taken the sandwich, eating it. Just her glare, looking at the guy who stole her roast beef sandwich, priceless, absolutely. I love Barbara Streisand. I haven't seen all of her movies from when she was like in her zeitgeist, like 60s through 80s, like you said. But Hello Dolly is like one of my favorite musicals of all time. She's super good in Hello Dolly. So if you liked her in this, you may want to. I bet Tiffany would love Hello Dolly, so we should check that one out at some point. She's great in this. Young Barbara Streisand, and she's also supposed to be really good in Funny Girl, which is one where she's also supposed to be very funny, and it's a musical. But peak Streisand. This movie, exactly the level of Streisand I need in my life. Fantastic. Here's the thing. This movie, it's wacky, it's silly, it's a mix-em-up, but it's witty. That's what I like. I like how funny she is, and like you said, just throwing everyone off, left and right, where it's like everyone out here, it's a bunch of like nerdy musicians trying to get a scholarship, and she's in here just like, you know what? I'm just gonna mix it up, I'm just gonna ruin this man's life. Just kidding. I'm making his life better, That's what I like about, what is it? He pulls her under the table, so then the other guy goes under the table. Just a whole table of people having a conversation underneath the table. I love that she just wins everyone over all the time. It's so good. Oh my goodness. Love Barbara Streisand. And I like that it's like, it's not chaotic energy. It's a lot of talking going back and forth. And then like, there's also 30 minutes in this movie that's just a car chase in San Francisco. Absolutely fantastic. That's what I need in my life. I need some highbrow, like funny dialogue. And then also I need just cars running into each other and people running, in a dragon costume running through the parade. That's what I need in my life. Absolutely fantastic. So, oh man, it's a good one, I like that she gets him. Here's the other thing with this movie. Because she is, yes, she's an agent of chaos, right? She goes in and just causes mayhem, but she does like the guy, At the end of the day, everyone's life is better because of her. You know what I'm saying? Because she gets in there, she breaks up the faux engagement between Steven and Bernsey. But Bernsey hooks up with, the rich scholarship giver outer guy, the guy who gives out the grant. She exposes the guy who was trying to steal intellectual property, by republishing a study. So at the end of the day, everyone's better off because she was there. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's so delightful about this movie. It's chaotic good, And that's why I like this movie. Can we talk about how hot the music rock guy is? We get him out here with the bow tie on. He's trying to take his bath. His clothes are all ripped. Man's a looker. I think he's in a boxing movie is the thing. I think he was a boxer, then he was an actor. He was in a couple famous old movies, and then he was in this movie. What a couple. What a pair. Fantastic. Sweaty guy, I could watch a whole movie of just sweaty guy running around dumping golf clubs. I really could. That would get me all I need, like for sure. Also, you have the judge who's just pounding like pills and cough syrups and stuff. That was me this whole last week because I've been sick. I'm just like, all right, I'm taking this now, I guess. Like, all right, might as well take this.
All right, Cody, we have to cut you off when you're talking about your drug addiction. Sorry to
Oh yeah.
Sorry to cut you off mid-confession there. Yeah, when he takes all his clothes off except for his bow tie and his boxers, I was like, oh, goodness. I was like, this guy is way too ripped to be a musicologist.
Oh, yeah. He was in a very famous movie called, I think it's called Love Story, but one of the lines from that movie is, what is it called? It's like loving someone means you never have to say you're sorry. That's from that movie, which is why they say it in this movie, and he says, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So that was the big line from his romance movie. But yeah, no, he's a looker. You know when someone's hot and it's like from 40 years ago and then they still look hot today, that's when you know you're really hot. Because anyone can look hot with like whatever the modern style and zeitgeist is. Mm-hmm. If you can look hot in a bow tie and boxers 40 years later, that's true beauty. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Here's the problem I have, Cody, all right? And I need you to be here in this moment and understand my struggle. This movie does not have a steelbook. Not even like one that's ever been released.
Rude. Really rude.
I'm mad about it because I've got the Doctor Strangelove steelbook, and I'm like, this one's going to join the pack. So I looked it up. Prepared to possibly have to pay like $50 on eBay, like you do with the hard to find ones. Mm-hmm. Never been released in a steelbook. And I'm mad about it, all right? Mm-hmm. I'm upset and I'm mad, all right? Cody, I'm not disappointed. I'm pissed, all right? That's what I'm going to say to my kids, yeah. You know? That's what I tell Tiffany.
You know? Yeah, I don't know. It's criminal. This movie, like, why haven't more people seen this movie? Why isn't this like the front banner of HBO Max? Like here's the thing. I hopped on HBO Max yesterday. We were gonna watch Our Flag Means Death, which is very funny. It's a very good show. And it was like supposedly topping the streaming charts. It wasn't on the front banner, their main page. I had to like go and search it out. HBO, you gotta take this stuff and you gotta put it at the front. You know what I'm saying? You can't like literally. I hopped on and it was like, "Do you want to watch The Flight Attendant?" I'm like, that's like 2 years old. I'm sure it's good.
There's a new season.
But why isn't any of this stuff popping up? You know what I'm saying? I think HBO Max has bad. You know, it's never the thing I want. You know what I'm saying? It's never what I'm looking for. Is like at the front, at the top of the HBO Max page. Yeah. It's always like, I guess I gotta go use your search function to find what I know you already have. It's very rude. Tyler, are you ready to get into the nitty gritty?
I might.
The grits.
I might.
And the nits. Here's the thing. Bailey didn't like this movie, and I will tell you why, because I had to ask her. She equated it to, there's a very specific kind of movie. It's a dark comedy, like, one's called Anger Management. Pardon my clicky clackies, because I have to look up another one. Another one I saw, it's got, I think it's called The X, but it's like Jason Bateman and Zach Braff or something. There's this specific kind of movie, and it's where, I don't know. It is where you have a person who's like, I'm trying to do my best, things aren't going well. And then you have their like ally, not their ally, their nemesis, who everyone else loves, just ruins their life, basically. And that's the movie. And it's like, it's a dark comedy. And you're like, I think you just ruined that guy's life.
Yeah.
And so I think she thought of it like that, where it's like, she was so anxious for Steven because he was just in this mix of everything going wrong. And she was like, she just messed with him the whole time, you know? Here's my thing. I also dislike that kind of movie. For me, this movie doesn't qualify at all because it's so bright and happy.
Oh yeah,
and fun, and it's a comedy in that like has a happy ending and everything works out well in the end. So for me, that's not even a problem, because it's very slapstick and like fun, and you know, like yeah, she's messing with him, and he's just playing the straight man. Everyone else is having a great time, you know. Burnsy's having a bad time, and Steven is stressed out the whole time, but everyone else is loving it. Yeah, they're loving Barbara Streisand.
Yeah, here's what you gotta know, Cody. Burnsy is Barbara Streisand. All right.
Yeah.
That's true. His fiance, who is not his wife, is also the one who isn't Burnsy. All right, that's what you don't understand.
Yeah. So I mean, so that's why she didn't like it, because she felt too much the anxiety of that, which I get. But for me, it's just like, no, that's not what this movie was at all for me. So I don't know if you can sympathize with that, but so that's the thing. Yeah, the movie I was talking about is called The X, and it's Zach Braff and Jason Bateman, but it's very much that, where it's like Jason Bateman just kind of ruins Zach Braff's life, and that's the movie, but it's supposed to be like a dark comedy,
Yeah.
So that's why she didn't like it, but it goes deeper than that, right? Because I think I texted you this, but Bailey didn't like What's Up, Doc? She didn't like Harold and Maude, which is one of my all-time favorites. And right after What's Up, Doc, she was like, "You should watch Scott Pilgrim versus the World sometime." She's already told me she didn't like when she first saw it. It's like, I didn't think it was good. And I'm like, well, that's another one. Like, if we're talking Harold and Maude, What's Up, Doc, and Scott Pilgrim versus the World, those are all like top 10 movies for me, especially for like movies that make me laugh. So it's just, we like different things, but those aren't movies she finds funny at all, but if she were to put on Corky Romano or Undercover Brother or Medea or like any of those movies from like that era, she'd like eat them up and be like, this is what a great comedy is,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't see how you can like Corky Romano and then think this isn't as good, if not like far, far better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I have a hard time. I thought I had Bailey's movie tastes nailed down, and then you said she didn't like this movie, and I realized I know nothing about her movie tastes.
Here's the thing. I could articulate my own movie tastes, I like intelligently written movies, like whatever it is, But there are also, I like silly movies too at times, but it's just in general, if it's well written and like clever, I'm going to enjoy it, whether it's sci-fi or horror or drama or comedy, I'm all about the writing, for the most part. Whereas Bailey, I know she likes anything where the couple gets together, they show their love and devotion, and preferably if there's a period of time that shows them together and being together and shows all the loviness, that's great. Whereas most movies is like, how did they get together? End of the movie. That's fine for her. That's a good movie for her. But a great movie is like, no, I get to watch their whole like relationship, and which there aren't that many kinds of. So like that's what she likes mostly. But then when it comes to comedies, like I said, they're much like broader, loud kind of comedies, like Corky Romano or Medea. Like Medea's funny because she's outrageous, she's loud, she's sassy. She really laughs at Medea. Whereas this, I don't know, it didn't work for her. So
okay, here's the thing. I feel like in the comedies space, right? On some level, I can understand. I don't know how it got to this point, but I understand her choice. So she grew up in rural Kansas, which is just, a nightmare. Sorry, I threw up a little bit in my mouth just saying Kansas.
Yeah, it's a hard life.
And I grew up in...
Not a lot of people make it out of there.
And I grew up in Arkansas and Missouri. And there is something about, like, it's really funny because I feel like that area of the country in particular is profoundly racist while also being profoundly, like, not, like, where you can grow up white and be exposed to so many things that normally you wouldn't in other parts of the country. Like, I think much like her, I really enjoy, like, traditionally black comedy stuff. Like, comedians and, like, the Medea movies and things like that. Stuff that normally people would grow up. Like, there's a joke, I think, in, like, Family Guy where a guy says, like, says Marlon Wayans is so funny. And then all the white people are like, who the heck is that? And he's like, you don't know Marlon Wayans? And then lists off a bunch of other black comedians. And I'm like, I know who all those people are. And I think they're hilarious.
Yeah.
But the joke is that none of these white people from the Northeast know who they are. And I'm like, okay. So I think that's part of it. I think the main difference is I also grew up with parents who are the age of, like, your guys' grandparents, which I feel like broadened what I would normally get. And she didn't. So she just got that, like, country bumpkin the lowest of the low form of the black comedy, not even like the really good high quality black comedian stuff.
Yeah.
And like so it's just like lowest common denominator kind of stuff and not much else. Like middle of the country, but yeah, and like you're out here growing up in California, you know, going to like ballet and stuff, right? You know.
Well, that's what's funny is like I didn't feel like I'm the one in my family who's into highbrow film. My sister a little bit too, because she's dating someone in the industry, so I think she got exposed to a lot of like more niche films.
Mm-hmm.
So we both enjoy a lot of those kind of movies, but like she doesn't seek those out. My brother can watch like I know what my brother likes. We like a lot of the same stuff, so I can show him some stuff. But my mom a tiny bit can enjoy a movie like that. My dad doesn't really like those kind of, you know, like we didn't grow up watching any of those. Like it was just when I was a teenager, I got into Prestige, and that kind of got me into film. And then there was a video class I was able to take and like make short films, and that exposed me to like a lot of film history and directors. And I was like, I really want to see, you know, even in like high school, I'd be like, oh, Foxcatcher, I really want to watch that. I need someone to go, you know, I had to like beg all my friends to find someone who would like go drive 40 minutes away to watch Foxcatcher, you know? And I was like, this looks like a great movie, you know? Yeah. No one wants to watch that movie. It is a very good movie. But anyway, so I, of my own volition, got into that when I was like 14 to 16 is when I started getting into those kind of movies. And then by the time I turned 18, I was like, I'm very interested in these kind of movies. And now it's just like part of who I am. Yeah. But like, I didn't, you know, I watched Corky Romano growing up. Like because we liked all the SNL people. So like, I've seen a lot of those movies. It was weird too, because like a while ago we watched because she has like a list of movies I need to watch, and most of them are pretty bad. And they're movies like, you know, they're Medea movies, and there's Shark Boy and Lava Girl, and like a lot of these were like, these are not good movies. They're just movies you saw when you were a kid, but like because you saw them as a kid, they're part of your DNA. Just like I like Mortal Kombat, and I grew up watching Small Soldiers all the time. I never make anyone else watch Small Soldiers, but it was like part of my DNA. That was like the videotape I used over and Jingle All the Way. Anyway, I grew out of that stuff, and I understand that I was like, I enjoyed it as a child. It is not a good movie.
Yeah.
I don't think she's come to terms with that at all. Because she made me watch Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I was like, this wasn't good. It was actively bad. But she had that nostalgia for it. Well, so that's my thing. Here's my point. Okay. We watched Superstar, which is a movie I should have seen because it was an SNL movie.
Yeah.
It's Will Ferrell and what's her name? And it's the character Catherine Mary Gallagher originated from SNL skits. And I think I enjoyed that movie more than she did. I think she liked it for the love story of all things, but it's a comedy about like a misfit Catholic school student, you know, that like is a total weirdo. And like I thought those parts were funny, and I think she just enjoyed that like the goofy girl got with a hot guy, you know. So I don't know, man. That's what I'm saying. I don't even think she likes that movie for the comedy in it. I think she mostly likes it for the story. I don't know. So like literally whenever it comes up where it's like, hey, we should watch like a movie from your list. That comes up once every month or two. Oh, you got a fancy light? Look at you.
Oh, I've had it for a while.
And when it comes up, she's like, okay, we can watch Shark Boy and Lava Girl, Superstar, or Medea. And I literally go, oof after each one, and then we pick like whichever one I feel like I can deal with that day.
Yeah.
But I don't think there might have been one movie on that list where I was like, no, I actually like did enjoy it. But it's always like, I don't know how to tell you. This isn't like, if you look at the reviews, you're gonna see this movie didn't score well. It doesn't even have a good, you know, it's not even one of those where like, yeah, critics hated it, but like the audience loved it. Most of the time it's like, no, both parties on Rotten Tomatoes can agree this is a bad movie, not worth your time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't fully understand her taste in movies yet either, but I know that she can get by on a good love story, you know?
Yeah. I guess, you know, I was saying like we both grew up in the Midwest, me and Bailey. But I mean, as much as I joke about you being from LA, really you also grew up in like the middle of nowhere kind of town. Like it's not like you grew up in a city. You grew up in like still what would probably be mostly impacted, not considered, but mostly like if you were there, feel like you're in middle America, except you're in the desert instead of like in a field of corn kind of thing, you know?
Right.
So
there are a lot of people that listen to country music in that part of California too.
Yeah.
And my hometown is very diverse. It's like it even split between white, black, and Hispanic.
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, like you said, you just kind of grew out of it. So I've run into the same thing with Tiffany, but she liked this movie a lot because I think she likes because the same reason like I kind of like the fast talking Three Stooges style comedy because my parents grew up watching it, so I got exposed to it.
It's very like a vaudeville, old timey, like 2-man or 3-man act where it's like one-liners and misdirection and who's on first kind of thing.
And Tiffany got exposed to it a lot because she grew up really poor. So like all the stuff they had was the old stuff because they could get it cheaper or it got like given to them by older relatives.
Right.
So like she's young enough that she really like other people her age are like, yeah, no, I didn't grow up with like VHSs and all this kind of older movies, but she did because those families got rid of them and gave them to her family. So what I'm basically saying is Bailey grew up in the middle of nowhere and she was too rich to have that stuff. So that's the problem. That's the issue.
Yeah.
Also, I'm trying to get Tiffany past the like watching kids movies all the time. It's not working. So if you figure out a way, if anybody out there knows a way to like push through that, tweet at us so we know.
No, there's no way. But that's the other thing is all the old movies Bailey watches, they're mostly Westerns. Her dad watches, like her grandpa only watches like 50s and 60s Westerns. And her dad loves old, like, so they, mostly just watch John Wayne movies. But like you name any Western and her dad, even like the more obscure ones, he's like, oh yeah, that's this guy. He's in this movie, and this movie. You're like, oh, you know who everyone in this old Western is. Huge fan of John Wayne.
Aren't we all? Really?
Huge fan of like Sean Connery as James Bond. And, like those are all the movies he watched. Like so hard dad movies, old movies you've seen a ton of. I got a few fun facts for this movie. First off, this is the first American film to give credit to the stunt people.
Oh, nice.
The first British film was Moonraker. So isn't that fun?
It is fun.
And then at the beginning of the movie, when she causes a fender bender right outside the hotel, it was spur of the moment, and the director was like, "We don't have any stunt cars, but here's what you do: go get a car rental. Make sure you get the insurance." They just filmed the car crash. There's a lot of that kind of stuff. Like they got in a lot of trouble with the city of San Francisco. And as a result, there's a lot more legislation now about what you can film in San Francisco. Because, like, for the car chase, there's a lot of stuff. They were like, yeah, you can film. They're like, sweet. And then, like, there's that really famous street in San Francisco with, like, the really pretty, all the garden, and then you, like, wind down the hill.
Street?
Yeah. They were like, you're gonna, great. And, no, I'm thinking of another one. They're like those famous steps they drive down in the thing. They're like, yeah, you can film there. And then they, like, crashed a car down the steps and like we didn't know you were gonna do that. Like you just ruined this super famous, so they kind of got in trouble for that, but got away with it a little bit because they have all the footage.
Here's the thing, I want to take a second to talk about Lombard Street. I've known a few people that grew up in San Francisco and drove around San Francisco or have gone there or like had family there or something. Lombard Street amazes me because it's something that every tourist wants to go, so it gets clogged up not just with traffic, which is already terrible in San Francisco, but with tourists. And hearing them describe, it's like, when you get close to it, you're faced with a choice. To risk taking the street, which is now clogged up with people who have no idea what they're doing, and have probably gotten into a wreck halfway down it, or go around it, which is going to take you an hour and a half to get to the same place, or it will take you 5 minutes if you manage to just go down there. And they'll have like these stories of like, one time, 3 o'clock in the morning, I was driving doing this thing, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to risk it. And no one was there, and it was the most magical moment of my life. And I'm like, that's when your life peaked, when you were 17 and you went down Lombard Street with nobody on it? That's the peak of your life. And they're like, it's not going to get better than that. Like, yeah. It's just like, the street amazes me, that it's like a functional street that the people who live in San Francisco are like, this saves me so much time. Because it's switchbacks so far down so fast. But there's a chance it'll take 3 times longer than if I go around it.
So wild. I stumbled upon that street. I was walking in San Francisco, and it was like, no one was on it because it was like a random day. Like we were there on like a Friday afternoon because our friend we were in Rexburg, and our friend needed a passport to be able to go to France. And the only the closest French embassy or whatever is San Francisco. So we're like, oh, cool. We'll just drive 12 hours
Sounds like a
to
real
get this done in time, which is fine. 'Cause it's like,
college
we're just going to do it. We're college students. We'll drive. We're going to check out San Francisco for a day or two. Cool. But yeah, we just like walked around and like I stumbled upon that street and like Coit Tower. I was like, oh, this is a thing. What is this? Just fun. And we got bikes. Biking San Francisco. It's a great way to get around.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it. So in the chase scene at the end, they were spoofing Bullet. It's a famous action film, which was also filmed in San Francisco. Cost them $1 million, which is a quarter of their budget. Took 19 days, 32 stuntmen, and it has 11 minutes of screen time. So that segment with the giant pane of glass took 5 days to film. Took them 5 whole days to film. Just them driving down, the glass pane moving over, and the glass pane moving back, and the other car trying not to hit it. It's a good one.
I did say when we were after that scene, I had to pause it and I turned to Tiffany. I was like, shout out to these guys carrying this huge pane of sugar glass back and forth across the street without shattering it on accident. Because those things are like a small piece of it is super fragile. I can't, like, if you accidentally tap it with your foot, that thing's getting shattered. Like, that's the whole point of sugar glass, right? Is it's so fragile. And I'm like, these guys had to carry a gigantic pane. And I'm like, those guys, they're the real heroes. All right. That's what no one's talking about.
Oh, yeah. That's why they credit the stuntmen,
Tiffany was very sad that they hit that bus. And I thought it was funny. I was like, I even said out loud, I did a dad move where I was just like, oh, are they going to hit it too? Oh, they hit it. Oh, they got that bus. Just every single time I was like, oh, they got it. And then the car like stopped and it's like, oh, it could totally make that turn without hitting the bus. And then just like smacks into the bus and continues to turn. And I was just like, oh, that was good. That was one of those times when I was just wheeze laughing. I don't know why it got me. All right. It was just such a like chaotic, like why energy that I was like, oh, this is delightful. This is a treat and I'm loving it. And I'm so glad we did this movie.
I really enjoyed this, like this style of like old screwball comedy. There's like a few, there's like an old one I really liked. Is it like, I only saw it once. It's like how to succeed without really trying, or like how to become a millionaire without really trying. That's a good one. Like, I just like this style because it's like very loud, very silly. It's going for hard comedy, but it's also like clever,
Yeah.
I miss it.
I felt like
they do a lot of this kind of stuff. If you ever go to like Disneyland, a lot of the shows are kind of like that style where it's like, it's kind of very silly, like talking back and forth and one-liners. And I don't know, I actually I like it.
Yeah, there's a guy. Funny enough, Tiffany really likes. She's been following him like on like TikTok and stuff. That he goes to Renaissance festivals and does shows, and he does like a whip show where like he'll sing and whip to beats and stuff.
Oh.
And he's very funny. He's a comedian is basically what he is, and he'll like make jokes out of it and like change the song to match with him having whips. And that's pretty much all his show is. It's very quippy. Like someone will shout something out and he'll shout back with a really fast quip and everything. And I was like, that's good. So I always enjoy it. But check him out. His name's, I think it's Jack Z Whipper or Jacques Z Whipper, because he's French. That's what he says. And he does,
instead of Jack the Ripper, he's Jacques the Whipper.
He's Jacques Z. That's Tiffany has corrected me.
Jacques Z Whipper.
Z. But there's a whole bit where he's like, we do an adult show and he does a French accent and he says focus. And it sounds like something else, Cody. If you think about focus in a French accent, and he's like, they have to focus. And then he's like, and I want to remind everyone that kids should not be at this show. It's like he's done with his monologue, and it's really, a good show. Anyway, it's very much that kind of energy that you don't get in movies.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot, like you said, of the Doctor Strangelove. Like, her chaotic energy is very much like Doctor Strangelove's energy, where he's just like, the president's like, Doctor, he's like, yes, my Führer. It's like, you just lose it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, like, but of course, I looked it up to see if they came out, but that one came out 10 years before this one.
Yeah.
So,
Sylvester Stallone is a background actor in this movie, so you can like see him in the background in one shot. I guess.
It's like, oh gosh, who's that guy that was just like a random guy in a Bond movie? that they're like, oh, he's just like a random dude, and then they're like, oh my gosh, you're actually really good. We're gonna like replace you. It's like 6 characters with you so that you can be in it more.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Who was it? Who was it? He got kind of like bug eyes, and he's Spanish, I think. You know who I'm talking about, Cody?
In which movie?
It's in the one with the I don't remember. It's the one with like the cult that's like funneling money, where he's like the televangelist guy, but he's like all about meditation. You know the one I'm talking about, Cody. It's one with Brosnan, isn't it? Cody, help me. This is killing me. All right. I don't know how to.
You said it's a Bond movie?
It's a Bond movie, right?
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan.
It's got to be Pierce Brosnan, because there's no way it's one of the other ones, right?
Yeah.
Right? Let's see. It's not GoldenEye, right? Tomorrow Never. No. Oh, it's hard. Anyway, you can just move on. I'll find it, you know. Just keep on going, you know.
This movie is listed in American Film Institute's 100 Passions film list, and in the 100 Greatest Comedies list in the 60s. So, yeah, it's number 61 for 100 Greatest Comedies. So that's, you know.
Nice.
But, you know, Bailey hated it. So.
Cody, why does she... I feel like her not liking this is like a personal attack on you, all right?
I don't know. The thing is, I guess I've been watching movies with you longer than I've been watching movies with her. But at some point, I have to turn her. I have to convert her like I've converted you. Not that we have the same taste in movies, but I feel like I've opened your third eye to like a new tier of movies you enjoy. You know? Even if they're not your preferred kind of movies, I feel like there's a new kind of movie that you'll like sit and appreciate and like enjoy watching, you know?
Yeah.
And I need that for her to happen. This is the other thing that happened, because we have very different tastes in music too. And I feel like most of the time we most listen to her music lately. Anyway, she was like mumbling a song, you know? And I was mumbling a song, and it sounded like the same song. Anyway, she's like, I have to find that song. She put it on, and I was like, that's this, you know, it was a song that I had on my playlist. I was like, that's the song you're looking for. And she put it on. I was like, I didn't realize you liked this artist. She's like, I don't. I was like, you... She's like, it was just in my head. I'm like, this was in your head, and you sang it out loud, so then you put it on the radio, and you're going to tell me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so you don't like it, but I got you to put it on, without me mentioning it, and I hadn't played that song in like 3 months probably, and she put it on. I don't understand it. I need, you know what I'm saying?
I got it, Cody. Stop everything. It was Dalton, License to Kill. It's Benicio del Toro. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Everybody,
Benicio.
Go home now. Yep. We've done it. All right, we've come together. We found it. We found the answer. How did I remember? I didn't remember. I remember he's also in Star Wars Episode 8. That's how I got him. All right, and then I dug through his filmography.
Yep.
Found it like a hero. I'm a national
one of his very
hero.
First credits.
Vote me for president. All right. I'll get Benicio del Toro. He'll be my Secretary of Education. All right, get him in there.
I'd sign off on that. It's crazy to me that like I hadn't heard of this movie until I was in college, is the thing, because it was the third highest grossing movie of the year, behind only The Godfather and The Poseidon Adventure. So I mean those are the only movies that beat this out in 1972.
My dad loves The Poseidon Adventure.
You know what movie I haven't seen that's probably like along the lines of this one in terms of classic comedies?
Yeah, what?
I should put it on my list. Gentlemen Prefer Blondes.
Mm.
That one's not on, but I've heard that one's like a great classic comedy too. So, you don't know that one?
No.
Marilyn Monroe. It's like the best Marilyn Monroe movie. And it's the one that, because it's like two famous like comedians of that era plus Marilyn Monroe, so it was like huge.
I don't know nothing about movies, Cody. All right.
It is Jane Russell, Charles Coburn. I don't know what name it is.
Yeah.
But, you know, they're in it.
Here's the thing, Cody. Here's the real injustice. I asked my parents, okay? I said, have you seen What's Up, Doc? They asked.
Yeah.
Is that a Bugs Bunny cartoon? This movie came out in 1974. My parents were in their early 20s. Prime time to go to the movies. All right?
Yeah.
They both went to movies during that time.
You know, what's weird is I think my parents had heard of this movie, or like they had seen it when they were, back in the day. But I guess my parents they wouldn't have been the right age for this movie because they would have been like 8 or so. But I think they knew it.
Let me put it into more perspective, Cody. My dad was like you. He lived in the middle of nowhere in California, enjoyed movies and surfing. You didn't enjoy surfing, but he had long blonde hair.
Mm-hmm.
He had a convertible. He had a job that paid better than most of his friends. He would go to the movies and he would go surfing. And he missed this movie. And I'm like, how? What? Actually, I think at this point, honestly, he was probably married with like 2 kids because he was 24 and you got to get on.
Well, yeah,
with
it's the third highest grossing of the movie of the year. That's like if you were like, hey, did you see Star Wars? Did you see Avengers? Did you see? It's like one of those, like top 3 grossing movie of the year.
Yeah. I'm thinking back, he would definitely say he didn't have time because he probably was married with children at that point.
Yeah, that makes sense. One of my a running gag I really enjoyed was Judy having like random, very specific knowledge of things because of all the. I found a list on the trivia of all of her majors. They are political science, Colorado State University, advanced geology from Wellesley, musical appreciation, Bennington, computer literature? Complet, Northwestern University, archaeology, Tuskegee Institute, general semantics at University of Chicago, veterinary medicine, Texas A&M, chemistry, no school given, and new math at Mount Holyoke. So there you go. Yeah, quite the career.
I like at the end where she's like, I'm going back to school. He's like, really? She's like, there's like over 1,000 schools, so I got a lot to go through still. And they just keep kicking her out. Oh.
The stuntman who drove the car off the water, the Cadillac, out into the water, suffered a severe concussion upon impact. He does not recall doing the stunt. So they have him on camera doing the stunt, but he does not recall it.
This movie was such a treat because, like, as they're going down like the pier, and she's like, "We can make it, we can make it." I was like, "They're not gonna make it," and then she says, "We're not gonna make it," right before they hit the water, like a second before. I was like, "So good, so good." I'm gonna watch this movie again. I can't believe this is only the second time you've ever watched this. Like, this is one of those movies. No. Like, anytime
I think this is my 3rd time because I showed it to some other people in college before treating you with it.
This is gonna be
a good one.
All the people at church and stuff that are like, we should hang out sometime, and they're like, and I'm like, I know I can't expose you to anything above a Disney movie. You're getting this movie, all right?
Mm-hmm. I do have my only critique of this movie.
No.
Well, I think the first hour runs great for me. Like the momentum is perfect. Like up until the point where it's like the hotel room's on fire, and it's like, okay, everything is dissolved. I think that momentum is great. I think it drags a little bit somewhere between like the middle of the chase and also a little bit at like the courtroom scene. That's like really my only critique and it's hard because this movie is like almost nonstop laughs. Like it's outrageous. It's very fun. It's witty. So I love that about it. But I think there's like just 1 or 2 moments in it where I'm kind of like, it drags. That's my only critique of it, which is, it's very hard to do a 90-minute comedy that doesn't have like some stall or some moment where it's like, all right, we got to take a break because we have just thrown so much ridiculous stuff at everyone. That's my only critique of it because otherwise I think it's absolutely fantastic,
See, it's funny because that's like when I think it really kicked off is like the part where you're thinking it dragged because I'm like I feel like it peaked at when everyone's at the institute guy's house and all the bags come together. And everybody's there shooting at each other, shooting at the ceiling and pointing guns. And the old lady gets a gun and she just unloads into the ceiling. Eunice fires a gun and then throws the gun away, and it's just absolute chaos. And they just steal all the bags. So they're like, we'll figure it out later. I'd run away. And I was just like, I like checked and I was like, there's 30 minutes left of this. And I was just like, what is what are they going to do for 30 minutes? And I feel like they nailed it. I felt like it was perfect the whole time. But I was like, this is like the end of the movie. How are they going to keep going? And so that's where I felt like it like peaked. And it was like, I felt like it was kind of more at the beginning when I was just like, I don't know what's happening. But I felt like the period when I was like, this is going kind of slow was only like 10, like I said, 10, 15 minutes at most.
I feel like old movies don't have very strong starts. I feel like a lot of old movies start really slow.
Well, I feel like
even like the classic ones.
The longer, like nowadays, it seems like filmmakers are like, we can really just kind of drop you in, especially if it's going to be this kind of comedy. It's like, we didn't explain how you got to this point. We're not going to explain anything to the end. So why are we going to do all this lead up when we could just like drop you in 10 minutes further in the movie and start going, Well,
I think really good writing dictates like, hey, there needs to be a hook in the beginning that like makes you internally ask a question like, why is this like this, or what's this person's deal, or whatever. One way to do that is just to drop someone in on some. But I feel like now more movies have like a little intro where it's like, hey, this is the world we're in, and this is like a thing that's going to tie in later, and that's a decent way to do it. But I feel like so many old movies are just like, all right, here's someone getting on a train. You're like, all right, they're getting on a train. Where are they going? Who are they? What are we? But it's not like, I don't know. I just feel like old movies are a little slow getting into them. But
okay, I'm
just thinking of some of the old ones I've seen lately.
Here's my theory. Okay, stick with me. I think Star Wars is what kicked off this, because it was like a transitional thing in that like there was still a lot of exposition, but they did the scroll, So they're like, here's what's going on. We're in it. You get nothing else. It's like, here's the basic knowledge you need to understand why it's important. This ship is shooting at that ship. Now, here's the ships shooting at each other. We're in it. And so then people realize, like, we don't even really need the scroll. We can just explain that in the first 15 minutes through dialogue. Right. And that's what started, like, the move towards, we're just going to drop you in the action. Like the hot start to a movie instead of the, like, well, we got to set everything up first and then do it. It's like, no, you don't really need that. You can start it and then explain it. You then have an hour and a half to explain how you got to that point if you so choose, or you can just never explain it. Most people, it's like, do you need to explain how they got from Ames, Iowa to San Francisco? Probably not. You're fine. Yeah. No one's going to be like, but how? Was it a train? Did they drive? Did they fly? Yeah, you're fine. So
my favorite thing about this movie is like basically Barbra Streisand's character is just like, what if Bugs Bunny was Barbra Streisand? Like, that's the movie.
Yeah.
Fantastic premise, I'm trying to think of like who you could do that with. I mean, it's kind of like if Ryan Reynolds was a woman, and it's like, what if Ryan Reynolds was Bugs Bunny and we just threw him into this scenario? Works great as a premise, I think. That's what Deadpool is, basically. What if Bugs Bunny was R-rated and he was a superhero? That's kind of what you could do.
Okay, look, I'm gonna make you mad here, Cody. I saw an interview with him where he was talking about his original pitch for Deadpool 2, and this is gonna make you so mad. His original pitch, right, that they turned down because they're like, no, that's too stupid, was the whole movie was going to be getting the X-Force, setting it up, all this and that, right? But the mission was steal the red chair from the Voice. That's what he wanted.
Why?
And then,
why?
that's what these fascists at Warner Brothers or whoever owns that property said. They were like, that's too dumb. We can't do that.
Yeah.
But like, how perfect would that be? If that's what it was.
That'd be great.
And with the thing that I like was the only thing I feel like they kept from his original pitch, because they liked the getting everything together, was the fact, and I forgot this, and I was like, oh, that's funny, they should have done that. And then it flashed into my brain that they did do it. That they had an invisible silent character played by Brad Pitt. And they're like, how do you know? And he's like, well, he's visible for a quarter of a second as he's getting electrocuted to death. And I was like, oh yeah, they did do that.
Man, Brad Pitt is cursed because he's too handsome, but he's hilarious. I just saw The Lost City, which is like a really fun popcorn movie. It's like a rom-com, a little adventure, a lot of laughs, a little bit of romance. It's a really good one. It was honestly better than I thought it was going to be. Bailey and I both really liked it. But Brad Pitt like shows up for like a short role, and he was like hilarious. It was so good. And he's so funny when he's like, I'll pop up in Deadpool, and he's really good. And I just saw Snatch recently.
I was gonna ask if you've seen
his character
Snatch.
in that is hilarious. Like, he's so funny. I think he's too good looking and too big of a star that you couldn't just put him in a comedy. But I think he's really good in a comedic role.
Cody, let me ask you the age-old question. What do I want to care about no wheels? All right, that's the age-old question. All right. What do I want to care about no wheels? And it's like the best. I've said that to my brother. Like, he didn't know I watched Snatch is one of his favorite movies of all time, and I hit him with that. And it was unfortunate. I hit him right as he took a drink, and it's the only time I think I've legitimately made someone do a spit take, and he just lost it. Because it's been so long since he's seen it. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good movie. Everybody go watch Snatch.
Brad Pitt is just a delight.
This movie has a lot of Snatch energy, where it's just like, what is happening? Everything's happening all at once, and it's just like, it never stops long enough for you to be like, what's going on?
Yeah. Man. What else? I mean, what else is there to say about this movie? I feel like we hit on a good little bit. We pondered a lot about the differences between my wife and myself, which is always good to hear.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything else we need to touch on?
I mean, it's such a good movie. Why did he keep the golf club bag with him? Like, why was that just something he just kept?
It was his cover.
He just kept dumping these.
There's a lot of people just running around San Francisco with a golf bag. It really helps you blend in. The hilliest city in America, just lugging around golf clubs. So good.
I respect it. Because
maybe it was just because like I played golf in high school, and like it's so funny. They don't allow you to use a cart, or even like the little like carts where it's just 3 wheels you set your bag on, so you can roll your cart. They don't allow that, which is really funny because in professional golf, it's like, no, part of the game is you walk the 18 holes, you have to go up the hills, whatever, but they have a caddy. We're like, we're all young people hauling these clubs that are breaking our backs, so something about like watching a man struggle with golf clubs, maybe that's why I enjoy it so much. But I'm like, this is so stupid. Why would anyone just like carry golf clubs when you could put it on wheel? I don't know. He's so sweaty. He struggled so much. He just starts dumping clubs.
And then at the
like
end,
throwing them in a bush, and then they're like not even in the bush. It's so good.
And the biggest twist was when he was like, I'm a government agent. I was like, what? You're supposed to? What? That was such a what the heck? This the other guy's the government agent, right? And you're like the sweaty double agent, and then it's like not even like a it's not even a like, oh, this guy's selling secrets. It's like he's a reporter or like a whistleblower, and he's like, the people deserve to know. And then at the end it shows him, and he's got it handcuffed to his wrist, and then it's just the guy with like poorly hidden like bolt cutters under his jacket,
following him.
And it's just, you're right, this is just them taking a Looney Tunes cartoon and being like, let's just replace it with people and see where it goes. It is the best. It's so funny. I like
delightful film. I highly recommend it. What would you give it?
This one,
gonna give it a rating. Yeah.
What would you give it? Give me your
rating. Sorry, I'm so sick. Only because of those like couple instances where it drags a tiny bit, I'll give it an A and not an A+. But for me, it's that good. I'll give it an A.
You giving it an A? Give me one.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I wanted to find. I'm searching for a thing that I need, and
yeah. I hear you.
It's hard. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
and I just want
I
to.
don't know what you're looking for, but I can really sympathize.
Just
But why are you?
be
My
sympathetic.
question is, what are you looking up that's gonna help you rate it? You know,
Just be with me, all right? Be with me.
To know
Be with me.
this movie's an A. It's a fact. I wrote it down already. It's
Here's the thing:
hysterical.
what I'm going back and forth between is the A and the A plus,
Yeah.
and it all comes down to how we're doing these reviews, which I have changed so many times in my own mind. You know, like how I do it.
You just have to listen to your heart. Was it? How did it rank technically? And how does it rank? How did it feel? How's the mouth feel of it? You know, how did it come off the tongue?
Here's what I'm thinking. All right, so if I was going
Did it
off of
please
like
you with pleasurable delights?
if I was going off like a 1 to 5 review scale or something like that, you know, like a 5 point,
What are we doing?
I would give it a 5. But the A, the
Yeah.
letters, it's more nuanced. So I'll you know what? I'll be controversial, Cody. A.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This is a great movie.
It's great.
Highly recommend it. I don't know why I'm mad at your parents for not having seen it, and everyone go check it out.
Now hold on. Now
It's a good one.
Don't start the outro for yet now, sir.
I won't,
because this is a Cody's corner, and you got to spin. You got to
do the thing.
Divine
Divine the film.
Divine the film. All right. Are you doing it? Am I doing it? I've got it ready to.
You're doing it. I told you. Your spreadsheet hates me. It doesn't. I pull it up on my computer, and it's like, I'll tell you what. You can look at this, but if you touch it, it will break.
Oh. Maybe just get good. If you thought about doing that. Oh gosh, it wants to personalize.
I've thought about
It's
that.
just
It's
okay.
kind of daunting.
Are you ready to divine the film,
Seems
Cody?
like a lot. Yes.
Okay.
Divine the film.
Blue Valentine.
F, dude.
Did you say F?
All right. Yeah, I said F.
No.
In lieu of swearing. So
No.
here's the thing.
You like these movies?
No, I love this film. Just, look up the rating and maybe watch it in a dark corner where no one else is. I'm just warning you. It's got some content.
Is it a sexy
And,
movie? Is that what you're saying to
define
me?
sexy. That's what you have to define sexy for me. So just, watch out. It's adult. I would define it as adult and mature.
Okay.
But Blue Valentine, it's a great movie.
So this is one where our wives will probably not be joining us for the film. Or they will.
It's hard. I want to make Bailey watch this one a lot. Like, I really do. But she's either going to love it or no, she's going to hate it. Like, there's just, I'm trying to think of any way that
She hates all things
This
that
is a
you
great
love.
one.
That's what we've decided here.
Yeah. Tyler, I'm really curious to see what you're going to say about this movie. Oh, man.
Well, we'll have
This is
to
gonna be
find out
great.
next time.
Next time on Cody's Corner.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for listening. You can find us, rate us, review us wherever you find your podcasts. You can yell at us on social media at Opinion Havers, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, memes galore. I think I'm a little behind on posting. That's okay. I've been ill. I've been self-caring for myself by rage playing Bloodborne. So that's what I've been doing. Thanks for listening. Until next time, watch movies.
And have opinions. Can you tell I'm wearing the hairspray you helped me pick out?
I didn't even notice. Whoa,
Look at this.
your hair's not even moving.
It's not even moving.
That hairspray is going to work. Stop.
Well, I'm moving it anyway.
For you.